Hi, all you heroes out there. I wanted to hop on here and share my story with Young Living. There are so many great stories out there, and my story, one of my amazing stories, is one of the reasons I got into actually sharing Young Living instead of just using Young Living. And so the very first thing, I'm Katie Brown. I'm a mama of two boys, and I have up to 4 other kiddos, depending on the day, in my house doing daycare. So definitely a lot of my stories involve kids and babies. I first got started with Young Living when I was a brand new mama. I had a little beautiful baby boy. Here, I'm showing you a picture of my kids now. I have Jax, who's 4, and Slade, who is 1.5. You can see him there. When Jax was just a little bitty baby, a new mom, no clue what I was doing, just like all new moms. And I had a very high maintenance baby, very clingy, very gassy, very uncomfortable. And I just didn't know how to help him. Everyone was like, oh, just give him gas drops. And when I read about what gas drops do, they don't alleviate any gas that your baby has. They actually just numb the linings of the stomach and the esophagus. So all that gas the baby has doesn't bother them. And I thought that was honestly really stupid. And so I started looking for alternatives. There was gripe water. I was breastfeeding. I cut out dairy and it helped. But it was just, I really just wanted to support my baby. And so my good friend Kim Mullen, she kept telling me about these oils, and I was like, yeah. I was exhausted and tired, and she just came over one day, and she brought samples of Peace and Calming and Digest Diluted for my baby already, so they were safe. And she came in and she showed me how to give him a little baby massage with them and where to put them on and how much. And, at that point I'd try anything. And so they started working, and it wasn't like miraculous night and day difference, but over time, that next week, it was better. He slept better. He felt better. He wasn't as clingy. And, I felt better because I got some sleep. And so then she came over and told me what it was all about. And we had just went to a single income family because I was staying home. It took us a couple months for me to weasel out the money for the kit and the budget. And so, but I knew it was important, and I knew I wanted to go down this journey. And I was adamant to Kim that I did not want to share. I didn't want to sell anything. It's not that I didn't want to share. I didn't want to sell stuff. But I just really love how Young Living is not about that. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. But the second story that I want to share is sort of I call it my miraculous Young Living story. So fast forward a couple years, and Jax is about 2, and we decide that we'd like to have another baby. Now, a little prequel to this story. It took us 3 years and 3 miscarriages before we were able to have Jax. I had to use fertility drugs to get pregnant with him. And so when Jax was, we were ready to have another one, I went to go talk to my doctor and say, okay, we're ready to have another kid. Give me the drugs. Let's get started. And the doctor sort of threw us for a loop, and she said, Katie, with your medical history, I had got gestational diabetes, and then I also have a blood clotting condition that was causing all of my miscarriages. But the treatment for that, allowed us to have a healthy pregnancy. And but she said, kind of with all your stuff, I don't feel comfortable letting you use fertility drugs again because of the chance of multiple babies and how that would just create an insanely complicated, dangerous pregnancy for you. And so I said, well, okay, we'll just give it a try and see how it goes from there. And so I also had PCOS, which is an infertility or a fertility issue where I wouldn't cycle, which is why I needed the fertility drugs. And so before I got pregnant the first time, I just really wouldn't have a period. I wouldn't cycle. So I got off of the birth control I was on, and we sort of waited for things to happen. And I knew from previous experience it took a couple months for me coming off of a birth control to actually have a PCOS. Elizabeth, I see your comment, and I will share with you some things that helped me in a moment. But I was really surprised that I got a period right away. And so, I didn't really think about it, and thinking about, okay, clean living, I'm using these oils, but I know now, looking back, that it's because I started doing a chemical-free lifestyle. There's a dirty dozen of chemicals, and you can look up, but something like 9 or 10 out of those chemicals, one of the main things is they're an endocrine disruptor for your system. So when I started getting rid of my shampoo, my household cleaner, my laundry detergent, and switching to natural alternatives through Young Living, it was having an effect on my body. I didn't know it at the time, but it was allowing me to sort of have a normal period and have a cycle. And so I just got very excited. I was losing a little bit of weight, and I was feeling a lot better. And I'm like, okay, well, we're actually going to get pregnant. I'm having a cycle. This is great. Okay, it's great. And fast forward another few more months, and we're still not pregnant, and we're doing all the right things at the right time, and we're still not pregnant, but I'm still having a cycle. And so I'm like, okay, it just needs a little bit more time. So we fast forward a few more months, and a few more, and a few more, and we're approaching a year of trying again to have a baby, and we're not having any luck. And for any of you who have actually tried to have a baby, don't just end up pregnant. Every month is like a year, and all that waiting is just excruciating. And so it felt like forever. And so I'm like, okay, I've seen these oils work on my family. I know that they're powerful and strong, and I know that they're God's creation. They're meant for us to use to support our body. So my friend Kim, my upline, she helped me do some research and found some stuff for me, and I put together a plan using some oils to support my reproductive system and maybe give it a little bit of boost to help me try to get pregnant. And my regime consisted of basil, clary sage, and progestins plus. Sorry, I have an eyelash that's bothering me or something. And those are all things I hadn't used before. The basil is supposed to be really good for breaking up. You do that over your ovaries. It's supposed to be really good for breaking up the cysts and the polycystic ovarian syndrome. And I did the clary sage in the arches of my feet and my inner ankles, and the progestins plus on my neck and wrists. And I have shared this story before, and I'll post the link. Well, actually, when I was pregnant with Slade, my second, really detailing everything that was going on. And so we'll post that link here at the bottom if you want to take a look at that story. And anyway, that was also a big budget for me to get all these oils on a whim and a chance and a prayer that they would work for us to get pregnant. But so it took a couple more months for us to save up for those oils. And I remember it was December, and it was like December 1st or 2nd, right at the beginning of December. And my period came again. And I was so devastated I wasn't pregnant. And I just told my husband, I think I'm done trying for a little while. It's Christmas. It's going to be stressful. We're going to do lots of traveling for the holidays. And I just think I want to take a break and not try. And I think it was the last day of my period. So a few days later is when my box of Young Living with the oils I had bought to support my reproductive system came in. And so I just sort of took that as a sign that, okay, God, they're here. might as well use them. And so I did those oils during my fertile window, and found out then it was Christmas and we were traveling and it was crazy and I didn't think about it. And come turn the first of the year, because of my blood clotting condition, I have to watch very closely if I am pregnant. So we were sort of watching. I turned up pregnant. The very first time I used these oils, I turned up pregnant. And was just flabbergasted and shocked. And that sort of turned a page for me that, okay, hey, I don't need to just use these oils. I need to share these oils. I need to tell people about these oils. I need to share hope. There are thousands and hundreds of thousands of couples out there who have problems conceiving and carrying to term. And I have something that could help them. And so that turned a page for me, that, hey, I gotta tell people about these oils. I just don't use them in my closet, or, I wasn't using them in my closet. I was just using them, but I need to be like, hey, would you like some of this? Because it's awesome. And, and when I shared my story a few years ago, the recording, I didn't talk about anything chemical-free living because it just didn't occur to me that was part of the equation, but it was. And so I just focused on the oils that I was using, and I did that. And then, but now I really realized that a big part of that equation was I had first gotten rid of all those chemicals out of our home, and I wasn't using bad deodorant or shampoo or cleaners or laundry soap, and all of that was actually having a good effect on my body because it was getting rid of those chemicals that were hindering that process. And so I also had the benefit, my first pregnancy was before oils, my second pregnancy was after oils, and so it's like night and day difference. I did still technically just get gestational diabetes. My doctor sort of just, since I had it before, said, hey, you're going to get it again, so we'll just kind of watch it from the beginning. But it's like night and day difference. I was on so much insulin the first time, it was just out of control. And then I didn't really have to take any insulin until like the very, very end. And that was for only the overnight time. But the rest of my gestational diabetes my blood sugars were controlled with diet. And I also had a huge problem with my C-section scar healing the first time. It actually opened up a little bit, and I had an August baby, and I wasn't actually completely healed until December. And I was really worried about that the second time around. But because of the copious amounts of Ninja Red that I was drinking, I really had great circulation. I didn't have any swelling the second time around. No puffy feet, no puffy hands, no swollen ankles, even after the end of a long day, no swelling. And so since I didn't have all that extra fluid in my body, I didn't have any problems healing from my C-section the second time around. And so I also had... there's a term for it, but I also got a lot of, when I'm pregnant, all the passages in my sinuses swell up with all that extra blood flow. And the first time around, I just got every bug. You look at me and you had a bug, I caught it, and I was miserable because I couldn't take any medicine. I didn't really know how to support my body besides just popping a pill. And so the doctors just kept throwing antibiotics at me because it was just like a constant sinus infection over and over and over again. And the second time around, I had oils to support my body, and so I had a DIY nasal spray. I would have roller-ons on my ears at night, and I just really got to have a pregnancy that was so much more pleasant. And that's another one I want to share, is that I think as a society, we think that when you're pregnant, you have to be miserable. And to some extent, you are, just because your body's changing, your hormones are out of control, you don't know what's going on. And but on the other hand, you don't have to be. If you have a stuffy nose, you can breathe easy again with some RC. You don't have to just kind of be miserable and wailing and waddling along in your pregnancy. You can have a joyful one. And when your emotions are way out of control, you know, there's peace and calming, there's valor, there's joy, and all those things that you can take. And so I wanted to give a plug to this fabulous brand new book that just came out, Gentle Babies, by our very own Deborah Rainburn. And this is the brand new book that just came out. I just got it in, honestly, a few days ago. And it is like 3 times the book that the other one I had was. And the other one I had was pretty worn and tattered, because I still, to this day, that's like my baby Bible for oils. I pull it out all the time. People ask me, hey, Katie, da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, get this book, Gentle Babies. Okay, every mama who uses oils needs to have this book on her shelf so she can turn to it. It is full of tons of the stuff. There was a water retention massage blend that in his book that I also use a lot, which I think helped with my lack of swelling during that pregnancy. And there's just so much. I can't even. And so those are my top 2 stories with Young Living. I have tons. I have so many stories to share, just, you know, with my kids. I got into Young Living for my kids, and heaven behold, it helped me too. It helps my family. It helps my husband. You know, he comes home at the end of a day and he's sore, and he's like, Katie, do you have something you can rub on my back or my feet? You know, he stands on concrete all day. And I call him my supportive skeptic, because he's still a little bit skeptic of these silly oils and things, but he'll ask for them and he uses them. They're a part of the daily life of my boys. You know, when I change the diaper for my little 1.5-year-old, he's pointing up to the shelf wanting oils rubbed on his belly, and he wants to do it himself. And so I put roller tops on like the Kid Sense oils for the kids. That way he can just rub them on his belly or his feet, and they're totally safe and diluted. And I really just love Young Living so much, and how much it has changed. I don't know how people can be a mom and take care of kids without using oils, because it would drive me crazy. I wouldn't know what to do. I wouldn't know how to help them. And so, you know, if they're sick or they're feeling below the wellness line, you know, I still take them to the doctor. And a lot of times the doctor checks them out and says it's a virus. They got to fight through it. And so I know that I have thieves now that can help support their system to fight that off better. I have a huge supporter of my kids' immune system is actually the Mighty Pro Probiotic, just because we've been taking that pretty faithfully this school year, and I really maybe can count less than 5 times where my kids were really sick. And that's a huge blessing for them to really not miss any school. I think my son missed 1 day of school because he wasn't feeling well. And so I know that that's going to be great for his future and his education if he's there at school and learning and doesn't have to worry about being sick. And so it's been good for little brother, so because big brother's been bringing in all the big germs from preschool. And so he's been supported and feeling well too. And so I also love to help and share. And, you know, if anybody has any questions about anything, or just sometimes you just need somebody to talk to who's sort of been in your situation or been kind of where you are, I've been there. Okay, I have prayed a lot of prayers, wishing and hoping and praying for babies that, you know, I was afraid would never come. And now I have two. I have 2, not just one blessing. I have 2 blessings. And so it's amazing to me that I get to be their mom every day. And it's the hardest job in the world, but it's the greatest. And so Young Living definitely makes it better because I don't have to worry. You know, we use the Seedlings products. I don't have to worry about what's in it. You know, we got sunscreen, we got insect repellent. I mean, just everything you need. The whole lifestyle is definitely worry-free for mamas. And you know that they're protected from what you need them to be protected, and they're not getting any extra yuck in there. So that's my story I hope you have a blessed Sunday, and I hope this helps you and shares something with you. And I'll make sure to post that extra video on here. So if you want to learn some more, you can. All right. Thanks. Bye.